Hello everybody and welcome back to the F1 2021 My Team Career Mode with me, Dan, and the Radiant Racing team. As we get on for the final race of the week, we're in Portugal for round 3, a track which I've particularly enjoyed this since they've added it, and it's been great fun doing it. A nice substitute for Spain if you want to switch out Barcelona for something a little bit similar but with a little bit of a different layout. This is the track for you, although in this calendar we will be going back to Barcelona for the next race. Anyway, before that happens, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and comment down below what was your highlight of the Grand Prix, and are you enjoying the series so far? Are you a big fan of the Radiant Racing team? I'd be surprised if you are. But anyway, here we go. We'll get on to the starting grid. And it's a Red Bull front row lockout with Max Verstappen at taking pole ahead of teammate Sergio Perez. Behind him, we have Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, alongside Valtteri Bottas. Then it's the two Ferraris of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. We're still going 2x2. Then Lando Norris is alongside his teammate Daniel Ricciardo. And rounding out the top 10, we have both Alpines of Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon. As we move on outside of the top 10, we have Yuki Tsunoda and George Russell breaking the trend. And behind them, we have Radiant Slothz in the first Radiant Racing car alongside Lance Stroll in a battle for green. Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi line up behind them in the Alfa Romeos. Then we have Nicholas Latifi in the other Alpine and Mick Schumacher alongside him in the Haas. Behind them, Guan Yu Zhou in the other Radiant Racing car alongside Nikita Mazepin, and on the back row, Sebastian Vettel and Pierre Gasly. Let's get on with the race. Well, here we are. 5 red lights. It's a long pause, and away we go. And we'll be looking to try and continue Radiant Racing's point-scoring run this week, as Radiant Slothz tries to go up the inside of everybody at turn 1, but is blocked by Esteban Ocon, who has attempted to do the same. Retakes the position from the Alpine, and also gets round Yuki Tsunoda at the same time. Esteban Ocon, dreadful start, losing 3 places in the space of a couple of corners. Little battle up ahead as Radiant Slothz also goes down the inside of Fernando Alonso, breaking through into the single digits of the top 10, following Daniel Ricciardo, Lando Norris, and Carlos Sainz as they fight over 6th position right now. So far, all of the cars remaining 2x2 until you get to 9th place with Radiant Slothz, who decided to ruin everyone's fun. Down at the bottom, Nikita Mazepin and Mick Schumacher loitering in P19 and 20, holding up the two drivers at the back, who are much faster than them. As we come round the final couple of corners now, let's go on board with Radiant Slothz for the start. Good getaway. Against the Williams on the medium, George Russell was absolutely smoked there to begin with, and then with the Alpines of Esteban Ocon trying to cut across the inside of the corner, would have worked had Tsunoda and Alonso not been on his outside, and Radiant Slothz there dives down the inside of 2 cars and then gives chase to Fernando Alonso. Runs a little bit wide over the curb with the cold tyres and then slips one up the inside. That's Lando Norris trying to get past Carlos Sainz but not having the traction out of the corner. Whilst we were watching that, Pierre Gasly following one of the Haas's. This might be Nikita Mazepin, and loses power completely. And that'll be the end of his race. There goes Sebastian Vettel, also trying to make his way back through the field. For some reason, during the day when I was recording this, the cars that left the garage last in Q1 would not set times. Just in case you're wondering why they're starting at the back. Anyway, on board with Radiant Slothz. DRS will be activated on this lap. There we go. Broken the DRS activation to Fernando Alonso, so he is safe inside the top 10 for the time being. Unfortunately, though, McLaren have started development and have definitely shielded themselves somewhat from Radiant Slothz and his constant harassment throughout this season. Not able to close up on Ricciardo or Norris for the time being, possibly due to the DRS train. Up ahead, Max Verstappen causing a bit of a train by the looks of things, which has continued on to lap 6, start of lap 7. Perez absolutely running away with the lead at the moment, doing a great job for Red Bull. He'll be looking to close in on the championship leader, Max Verstappen. And here we go, Radiant Slothz. He's behind Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo has lost the DRS that he was receiving from his teammate. Radiant Slothz runs slightly wide into turn 1. But now Ricciardo is an absolute sitting duck, because without that DRS, the McLaren does not have the straight line speed advantage anymore against the Honda power of Radiant Slothz and Radiant Racing. As he looks up the inside into the hairpin, a big lock-up from one of them there, and they go side by side. We saw a lot of battling in the last Grand Prix between these two, but it looks as though they got through all cleanly this time. As Radiant Slothz there encounters the tricky corner, or one of the trickier corners on this circuit, leads to a lot of oversteer and the back end coming out. Let's go aboard. This was the move into the hairpin. Wasn't actually closing up as much as you'd expect, but he gets up the inside, just about gets round. There may have been some contact there, or if not, it was very close, and just has slightly better traction. This was Ricciardo's perspective, running the overtake right into the corner. And there was a slight bit of contact there, but no damage to either party. It was a small nudge. And this was Lewis Hamilton shortly after this overtake took place, coming into the final few corners and completely loses the rear. There goes Norris, there goes Radiant Slothz, there goes Daniel Ricciardo, and it looks as though he's waiting for Fernando Alonso to go past as well. He's dropped all the way back down into 14th now as Lando Norris comes into the pits, and the safety car is deployed for Lewis Hamilton, who is presumably still waiting for everybody to go past him. He's dropped all the way down the field into 20th, now 21st, possibly down further. You have to scroll down to see anything more than that.
Box.
Radiant Slothz into the pits. He goes. We'll see where everyone else goes. Ricciardo has stayed out. That could be costly. Where's everyone else going? We've got two more cars coming through now. They're staying out as well. That's Fernando Alonso and Yuki Tsunoda. Max Verstappen rear ends Radiant Slothz during an unsafe release. That was not on whatsoever. Are there any winners and losers from this? We'll see in just a moment. Lando Norris, of course, pit right at the opportune time. There he is now. He's safely through. Charles Leclerc did stand to benefit there. He's managed to get past... he has remained ahead of Radiant Slothz, as he was before. As we come to the end of the safety car period at the restart. And Radiant Slothz gives chase to Lando Norris down into turn 1. He's got Charles Leclerc ahead of him as well. We've got 4 cars in the top 10, which have not pitted just yet. So this is looking to be a good result for Radiant Slothz so far. As he goes down the inside of the McLaren and tries to get one move done on Charles Leclerc as well, but was not able to on this occasion. He's going to give chase down the DRS straight. Nearly runs into the back of Charles Leclerc. That was incredibly close, as we see Esteban Ocon getting in everyone's way and causing a massive train. Sergio Perez has managed to get through. That could stand to benefit him quite nicely here, given that he had quite a lead earlier on. As he come down through Sector 2, Daniel Ricciardo will possibly come in at the end of this lap. Lando Norris will be trying to retake that position from Radiant Slothz. You can see already Esteban Ocon holding up Valtteri Bottas. Bottas is actually on for a good result this season, considering that he's finished quite well in the past few races. Lewis Hamilton, though, clearly second race of the week. He's not had a good result. He's not going to be in contention. All 4 cars come in. That's going to be a painful double stack for Alpine. and a painful loss of points for McLaren as well. Radiant Slothz moves up to 5th. Up ahead, Bottas and Verstappen battle away for 2nd. Charles Leclerc also involved as well. Maybe opportunities afoot. This is the restart for Radiant Slothz up against Lando Norris. Does it make a move into turn 1? Nearly rear ends the back of the McLaren into turn 2. And does it make any moves on Charles Leclerc? Up ahead, interestingly, all of the leaders started on the mediums. They are on the softs now, so you'd expect them to break away quite easily now. Especially with those 4 cars getting out of the way. As we rejoin for lap 13, Charles Leclerc already dropped out of DRS range of Max Verstappen. Sergio Perez also out of range of Valtteri Bottas, leaving the Red Bull of Verstappen in a good position to take Valtteri Bottas's place on the 2nd step of the podium. Radiant Slothz. DRS is now open. Charges after the Ferrari down into turn 1. Let's see what he can do. Not close enough into turn 1. He is going to get another opportunity after this horrible corner. Up onto the next DRS straight. Quite easy to lose the rear here. Get a bit of understeer going. And also run incredibly wide. DRS open again. Down into the hairpin. He's going to look up the inside. There's a lock up for both cars. He almost stops at the apex. And they're now side by side running up the hill. Leclerc has the edge though. At the moment now Radiant Slothz has the edge. Now Charles Leclerc has the inside. And Radiant Slothz is forced to run wide. Giving up the attack on Charles Leclerc. This will be his best points finish. Whether he finishes here or ahead of Leclerc. So nothing much on the line here. For him, he doesn't really have anything to lose either, given that Radiant Racing are being completely carried by this driver so far this season. Zhou Guanyu unable to push into the top 10 at all so far, although this car is reported to be extremely difficult to drive. So here we go onto the pit straight. He's much closer now. Also, Carlos Sainz on the attack of the background on Lando Norris. He's gone defensive. Up the inside is Radiant Slothz. Pushes Charles Leclerc wide. Takes the position back from the Ferrari. Into 4th position he goes. That'll be his highest position scored during this season so far. An excellent result for the rookie team. And he is able to defend from the Ferrari going into the hairpin as well. Excellent stuff. Just 3.5 laps to go then to keep that position and earn those points. This was the first attempt down the inside, which did not pay off. Leclerc getting much better traction, runs it wide over the curb. Radiant Slothz then gains the advantage, but then is forced to run it wider through this right-hander up into the dip. And has to sit behind the Ferrari. This was Charles Leclerc. During that same incident, both of them locking up. As we've seen before, Charles Leclerc does lock up quite frequently in these Grand Prix. Did it in Bahrain when Radiant Slothz overtook him, and has done it here as well. And there he is, crowding out Radiant Slothz to the outside. And then this was the actual move as it took place. Down the inside into turn 1. Leave some room. Leclerc was able to keep it almost on the track. And that's it. As we rejoin on the final lap, Sebastian Vettel mightily impressively gets back into the points after starting right near the back. Although he is battling with Kimi Räikkönen, this could get interesting. Zhou Guanyu also involved in this fight, so maybe he could pick up some points as well. Charles Leclerc goes to the outside of Radiant Slothz. There's a small lock-up from the Brit. He loses the rear slightly. It's going to be a repeat of before. Radiant Slothz defending. Sends it round the outside and carries a little bit more speed this time. He is able to stay ahead, and they're still side by side running into the dip. But the slightly better traction of the wider line has given Radiant Slothz the edge as he comes round into the second dip. Let's go aboard with Charles Leclerc there to see that failed move before we conclude the Grand Prix. There he is, so close between these two. Radiant Slothz not giving an inch, but is able to get round the outside this time. Charles Leclerc being slightly behind than he was last time, just not able to keep that good line, and then backs out of it, going up the hill. As we come round the final corner, it is going to be a fourth place for Radiant Slothz. Zhou Guanyu not able to make up any points, as Radiant Slothz goes to celebrate by crashing into the wall, as you'd come to expect from this driver. There he is, parked up after that massive accident, and he picks up driver of the day as well. He will be very happy with that, as everybody speeds past him at unsafe speeds. Christian Horner, he's going to be celebrating yet another win for Red Bull. I believe that might be 2 out of 3 wins this week. There's Sergio Perez, the race winner, celebrating. Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen join him on the podium yet again. It would be nice if we could have some other drivers get up there, like Radiant Slothz or maybe one of the Ferraris. We'll have to see what happens. Reliability, of course, will not be perfect this season, and we could see some of these drivers suffering as we progress through the races. Sergio Perez, extremely happy, decides to fight Valtteri Bottas with the champagne rather than celebrate with his teammate, who he has completely ignored. That is the end of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Well, there we go. We know on podium already. Radiant Slothz picks up P4 ahead of Charles Leclerc. Then Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, Lance Stroll, George Russell and Kimi Raikkonen make up the remainder of the top 10 finishers, with Zhou Guanyu just not able to get past those last 2 cars to pick up a point in the end. Which means over in the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen remains in first position, although now his teammate Sergio Perez draws level with him, both of them on 59 points. And just 1 point behind them is Mercedes number 2 driver Valtteri Bottas. In an incredible feat, Radiant Slothz moves up into joint 4th position alongside Lando Norris. And behind them, the other Mercedes driver of Lewis Hamilton looks particularly sheepish. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, the 2 Ferraris, are behind them, and running at the top 10 are Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll. Further down the order with some lucky point finishes, Kimi Raikkonen is actually holding P11 ahead of Williams rival George Russell. Then the other McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo on a disappointing 2 points in P13. Esteban Ocon and Sebastian Vettel make up the remaining point scorers. They're followed by Fernando Alonso, Yuki Tsunoda, Zhou Guanyu, Mick Schumacher, Antonio Giovinazzi, Nikita Mazepin and Nicholas Latifi. Which means over in the Constructors' Championship there are no changes in the top 6, so Red Bull still lead ahead of Mercedes by a small margin. Then we go back to McLaren and Radiant Racing in a close battle for 3rd, also followed by Ferrari. Then it's AlphaTauri and new rivals Aston Martin jumping up to tie with them in 7th. Then it's 1 point back to Alfa Romeo in 8th. Alpine, Williams and Haas make up the remaining teams. We'll catch you in the next one.